What if I told you that the real gateway to a luxury lifestyle isn't winning a lottery ticket, it's not a sudden, massive inheritance, and it's definitely not working 80 hours a week until you completely burn out? Today, we're unpacking a fascinating concept from wealth wisdom called the luxury switch. If you've been grinding away, putting in the long hours, but still feel like true abundance is just totally out of reach, this explainer is going to completely dismantle how you think about a high-quality lifestyle. We're going to look at what actually makes successful people tick, and it turns out it has very little to do with what's in their bank account, at least initially. The truth is much simpler. There's a single fundamental belief that you need to plant in your mind, a profound internal shift that you can literally start making today. So let's settle in and uncover how this actually works.
So, what really is the gateway to a luxury lifestyle? When you hear the word luxury, where does your mind instinctively go? Society has deeply conditioned us to view luxury as these massive, physical monoliths. We automatically picture the gated mansion, the fleet of supercars, the VIP velvet ropes, or just getting incredibly lucky breaks. And because we define abundance by these huge external markers, we inherently position ourselves on the outside looking in. We're taught that the path to this life is locked behind some heavy external door that we just have to desperately try and pry open. But to understand the actual gateway to wealth and high-quality living, we first have to clear away these societal misconceptions and take a hard look at the internal barriers that are actually holding us back.
These misconceptions are basically the common myths we all absorb growing up. Some people just sit around waiting for a winning lottery ticket, or they cross their fingers hoping for a sudden inheritance from a long-lost relative. But those fantasies are insidious, right? Because they strip you of your agency. They make you a passive passenger in your own life. And then there's the most dangerous myth of all, the belief that the only way to achieve financial freedom is by brutally grinding it out. It's the lie that you have to work 80 hours a week, trading your actual life and physical health for a future that somehow never arrives. But true luxury absolutely does not stem from external luck, and it for sure doesn't come from grueling, burnout-inducing hustle culture.
So, if it isn't a miraculous lottery win, and it isn't total exhaustion, what is the actual mechanism? Well, the truth is much simpler, but far more profound. The true gateway is a single, fundamental belief that you plant in your mind. Think of it quite literally as a seed. You see, the journey to a luxury lifestyle doesn't begin when your net worth hits some magical, arbitrary number. It begins the exact moment you root this one foundational belief deeply into your subconscious. And like any seed, it starts small. It needs daily watering through your habits and your conscious decisions. But as it grows, it essentially rewires the neurological pathways of how you view yourself. Once this thought fully takes root, your journey to luxury doesn't just begin, it becomes an absolute inevitability. Now this brings us to a massive conflict in how most of the world operates. We're dealing with an outside-in fallacy versus an inside-out reality. Most people tell themselves, when I finally get the money, then I'll feel abundant. Then I can finally relax. But think about someone who gets a huge promotion or a windfall of cash, but immediately inflates their lifestyle to match it. They remain just as stressed and anxious as before, right? Because their internal state is still fundamentally rooted in scarcity. Wealth wisdom dictates the exact opposite. You must feel abundant before the money follows. Generating internal peace and a sense of completeness is the mandatory prerequisite to building external wealth, not the result of it.
Here is the one thought you need to program into your subconscious. Luxury is not something I buy, it is the standard of how I live my life. I want you to just let that sink in for a second. This is the exact belief you need to hardwire into your brain. Luxury is not a transaction. It's not a receipt for a designer watch or a fancy car. It is an uncompromising internal baseline. It's the standard of how you choose to conduct your life every single day. In a daily context, this might mean taking an extra 10 minutes to actually sit down and enjoy your morning coffee, rather than just gulping it down while aggressively weaving through morning traffic. It's a true commitment to experiencing your life with intention and self-respect, completely regardless of your current bank balance.
When you adopt that standard, you force a massive internal shift. You transition away from a limiting state of scarcity, and you step confidently into a state of deservingness. Think about the physical and mental toll of scarcity for a moment. It's that constant low-level hum of anxiety, the feeling that there is never enough time, never enough money, and that you're just perpetually falling behind. It keeps your nervous system trapped in survival mode. But a state of deservingness, that brings immense relief. It opens you up to possibility. It is the quiet, calm confidence that you belong in rooms with big opportunities, and that you are entirely worthy of experiencing a high-quality existence without ever having to apologize for it. This internal shift establishes what we call your default baseline. It's the deeply held belief that high quality, peace of mind, and financial freedom are your standard reality, not just a distant dream reserved for someone else. Think of this baseline exactly like a thermostat in your house. If your internal thermostat is firmly set to abundance and peace, and some chaotic, stressful situation arises that drops the temperature of your day, your brain automatically kicks into gear. It instinctively takes action to correct the temperature, adjusting your environment and your responses until you are right back to your baseline of peace. You simply stop settling for less, because less now violates your fundamental programming.
Once this thermostat is set, your physical energy noticeably changes. Before making the switch, you're probably rushing, stressed out, and frantically chasing cheap dopamine just to cope with the daily grind. We've all been there, right? Doom scrolling on our phones at 2 in the morning, stressing about not being successful enough, while ironically destroying our ability to focus the very next day. But after you make this shift, you adopt a deeply grounded energy. You become organized. You become intensely focused. You start investing in long-term value rather than short-term distractions. You fiercely value your time, you protect your peace of mind, and you quite literally start vibrating at the frequency of success, completely tuning out the chaotic noise around you.
Because your energy is now entirely different, the way you make decisions has to evolve too. You stop operating from that old place of limitation. The old filter, the scarcity filter, was always the question, can I afford this? And that question inherently keeps you playing small. It's the mindset that leads to a closet full of cheap clothes you bought just because they were on sale, but that literally fall apart after 2 washes, or a calendar packed full of obligations you secretly resent. The new filter, the abundance filter, asks an entirely different question. Does this align with the life I am building? You start calculating the true return on investment for your overall life, not just looking at the immediate price tag.
Does this align with the life I am building? This specific, recurring question is really the ultimate climax of this mindset shift. It is the single most powerful behavioral tool you can carry with you. Think of this question as a ruthless bouncer for your life. When you ask this before committing your time, your emotional energy, or your financial resources, you automatically filter out the things that just don't serve your ultimate vision. It stops you from buying things you don't need to impress people you don't even like. It stops you from engaging in petty arguments that drain your peace. By letting this question guard the door to your daily decisions, you easily filter out mediocrity and open the floodgates to true, sustainable luxury.
So, how do we actually execute this shift today? Here are the exact mechanical steps. Number 1, plant the seed today. Start adopting that core belief that luxury is your internal standard. Number 2, expect abundance. Don't just hope for it. Set your internal thermostat to expect it as your default baseline. And number 3, demand quality from yourself and your environment. And to be clear, demanding quality absolutely doesn't mean acting like an entitled diva. It simply means refusing to accept toxic relationships, physical clutter, or wasted time in your daily routine. Put these 3 mechanics into practice and watch how your external reality immediately starts rearranging itself to match your new mindset.
Your luxury life starts the exact moment you decide you are entirely worthy of it. Are you ready? If you are ready to make this shift, I want you to type "I am ready" in the comments below right now to firmly anchor that intention. Also, don't forget to like this explainer and definitely subscribe to Wealth Wisdom for your regular dose of financial mindset content. As you go about the rest of your day, I want to leave you with this one thought to ponder. What is one cheap habit or scarcity mindset you are absolutely willing to drop right now to make room for your new luxury baseline? Give it some thought. Until next time, keep building.